How we doing today, guys and girls? Welcome back to Next Step Solutions. Do you have an old PC at home that you thought you'd never use? Are you interested in creating a server for your home network? Whether you want to have your own media server for movie and TV show watching, you want to have a central place to manage all of your smart home devices, or simply a server to act as a NAS for backing up your computer and file sharing. Proxmox will probably suit all of those needs, and the best part is it's free, open source, and fairly easy to set up. To start things off, you're going to want to go to Proxmox's website to download their ISO file. Next, you'll put that ISO onto a USB flash drive and boot into that USB on the hardware or computer that's going to act as your server. This is how you're going to install the Proxmox software on the computer. In the description, there's a link to the Get Started page on the Proxmox website. This is where you can download the ISO file and find useful instructions and knowledge base articles about Proxmox in case you have any questions or issues during this process or after you get it installed. At this point, we're going to select the graphical option for the installation. This method of virtualization is going to be considered a Type 1 hypervisor and a bare metal installation because we're installing Proxmox directly onto the hardware of the computer rather than on top of an operating system like Hyper-V or VirtualBox. Those scenarios would be considered Type 2 hypervisors. We're going to agree to the end-user agreement and then select the disk we want to install Proxmox onto. Keep in mind, Proxmox is a Linux-based software, so having experience with Linux is beneficial but not necessarily required. Once we choose our disk, we will input the country, time zone, and keyboard layout of our choosing. We're going to set a password for logging into the server and administrative control, as well as an email for notifications and alerts. Now it's time to set our network information and hostname. Remember, because this is a fully qualified domain name, we need the root domain, such as .com or .local, but you won't see this on your node while you're in the Proxmox GUI. I would set the IP to something outside of your DHCP server scope, if possible, and take note of the IP you set for the server. The port you'll use by default is 8006 when accessing the web interface. Lastly, review your settings so you know they are correct and begin installing your Proxmox virtual environment on your disk. Once Proxmox is installed, you should see a login page like this one here with an IP address and port at the top. Now you can go to a computer on the same network as your new Proxmox server, and in your web browser, type in the same IP address and port that you saw earlier. Once we're in Proxmox, we'll need to adjust one more thing to be able to utilize the full storage amount on our server. Currently looking at our local storage, we only have about 100 gigs available. Going to the local-lvm object, we can see our other 362 gigs. And we definitely want that because, why wouldn't we? So we're going to do something that may seem a bit scary. We're going to delete the local LVM storage because it's not needed and taking up space that we want to use. To do this, let's first go to our Data Center tab, and then we're going to click Storage in the left pane. We can now see our local and local LVM storage. Let's select the local LVM, and then we're going to click Remove, and Yes to confirm. At this point, you might think we're done, but we have a few commands to run in the shell to finish up this process. So let's click on our Proxmox node, and then select Shell in the left pane. Please make sure you're doing this before deploying any virtual machines or containers, or else these steps may not work. So the first command we're going to run is lv-remove /dev/pve/data and click enter. It's going to ask if we're sure that we want to continue. We'll put a Y for yes and click enter. Now let's resize our main local storage by using the command lv resize -l +100% free /dev/pve/root and then click enter. Finally, to finish up, we need to run one last command, which is resize to fs /dev/mapper/pve-root and click enter. Now your local LVM storage should be gone and you should see the full disk space available in your local storage. And that should be all you need to do to get Proxmox set up and ready to start creating virtual machines, containers, file shares, etc., all from your own home server. If you run into any issues or have questions, please reach out to me in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. Please like and subscribe to support my channel, and I look forward to seeing you all at the next one.